Guys, hold on a minute! Have you ever wondered what happened to those cars that once promised to change the road forever, but now no one, absolutely no one, remembers? Those cars you'd see in a magazine and say, wow, this is the future! But then, poof, they vanished as if by magic. Today, folks, we're going on an amazing journey. We're going to dig up 10 forgotten automotive legends from the graveyard of broken dreams. Alright, we're starting strong, with a car that's a true legend, but for all the wrong reasons. Guys, I present to you the Pontiac Aztek. When it came out in 2001, people were shocked. They said it was the ugliest car in history, an abomination. But, you know what? The Aztek was misunderstood, a visionary. It had amazing features. A center console that was a portable cooler, a sound system with controls in the back for tailgating parties, and even a tent that attached to the car. But then, my friends, the magic of television arrived. A certain Walter White appeared, a chemistry teacher from Albuquerque, with financial problems and a terminal diagnosis. And thanks to one of the best series in history, the Pontiac Aztek went from being the most hated car to a cult classic. If the Aztek was weird, wait until you see this. Introducing the Renault Avantime. When Renault unveiled this beast in 2001, the world stopped. What was this? A minivan, a coupe, a spaceship? It was all at once. And inside it was incredible, full of light with seats that looked like first-class armchairs. Plus it had a button that, when pressed, opened all the windows and the sunroof at once, almost turning it into a convertible. But of course, being a visionary has its risks. And the risk is that no one understands you at all. It was a commercial disaster of biblical proportions. It was only manufactured for 2 years, from 2001 to 2003, and just over 8,000 units were sold worldwide. Prepare your eyes, because here comes the king of memes, the final boss of controversial cars. Ladies and gentlemen, the Fiat Multipla. When Fiat released it in 1998, the intention was good, to create the most practical and spacious family car possible in the smallest size. And, wow, they succeeded. It's a car that measures less than 4 meters, like a compact car. But it has 6 seats. 6! The car instantly became the laughingstock of the planet. It was voted ugliest car of the year by shows like Top Gear, and not just once, but several times. Nowadays, as happens with these things, it has developed a cult following. There are people who adore it precisely because it's so strange, because it dared to be different. This chapter, guys, is a bit sadder, because we're not just going to talk about a forgotten car, but about the last breath of a brand many of us loved, Saab. And with the last drops of energy and money they had left, they launched their final masterpiece, the second generation Saab 9-5 in 2010. And wow, what a car. It was beautiful. Inside, it was amazing. The cockpit was driver-oriented, like in an airplane. It had cool features like the night panel, a button that turned off all dashboard lights except the speedometer to avoid distractions at night, a legacy from aviation. But it couldn't be. The company was mortally wounded. In 2011, Saab declared bankruptcy and disappeared forever. Rest in peace, Saab. You are missed. If we're talking about brands with personality, we have to talk about Citroën. And if we're talking about the last great Citroën, we have to talk about the C6. And they created this marvel, the Citroën C6, a car unlike anything else. It was a rolling sculpture, a statement of intent. Look at that concave rear window, a nod to the Citroën CX, pure poetry, and inside more of the same. The interior was a spectacle of luxury and comfort. The seats were incredibly comfortable armchairs, and the space in the back was fit for a minister. But that was its big problem. The market for large luxury sedans was, and still is, dominated with an iron fist by Mercedes, BMW, and Audi. Its sales were negligible outside of France, a spectacular commercial failure. Wow, this is a sociological case study, the Chrysler PT Cruiser. When it came out in 2000, it was a huge revolution. Everyone wanted one. Its retro design, inspired by American cars of the 1930s and 40s, was fresh, it was different, it was cool. People turned their heads on the street, waiting lists were huge. But what happens with trends? They pass, and the PT Cruiser went out of style at lightning speed. The car started to be associated with bad taste tuning, with painted flames, tacky chrome wheels. By the end of its commercial life, no one wanted it anymore. They were sold at bargain prices. It's the perfect example of how a great idea can die from its own success if it's not managed well. Guys, now we're going to Italy. the birthplace of design and elegance. And we're going to talk about a car that is elegance made metal, the Lancia Thesis. The Thesis is a work of art. It's not beautiful in the conventional sense, it's imposing. It's different. Look at that front end with those headlights that look like jewels and that majestic grille. And inside, more of the same. The interior was a spectacle of luxury and comfort. The seats were incredibly comfortable armchairs, and the space in the back was fit for a minister. But once again, we hit the same wall. The market wasn't ready for poetry. Outside of Italy, sales were a joke. The Thesis is proof that sometimes, not even the most exquisite design or the greatest luxury is enough to succeed. Alright, quick question. What was the first mass-market hybrid car sold in the United States and Europe? You're all thinking of the Toyota Prius, right? Wrong. Nope. The first was this little guy right here, the first-generation Honda Insight, which hit dealerships in 1999, a few months before the Prius. The Insight wasn't a normal car that had a hybrid system added to it. It was designed from scratch with one goal in mind: maximum efficiency. But its obsession with efficiency was also its downfall. It was a very impractical car. It only had 2 seats. 2. And then Toyota came along with its Prius. The Prius was uglier, yes, but it was a normal car. It had 5 seats, a decent trunk. It was a car a family could use every day. The Prius swept the market, and the Insight became a footnote in automotive history. Well, guys, if until now we've seen noble failures, cars with good intentions that didn't work out, now we're going to see a pure and utter disaster, a botched job, an insult to intelligence. I present to you the Rover CityRover. In the early 2000s, Rover was in the ICU, dying. What did they do? The worst thing they could do. They signed an agreement with the Indian brand Tata to take their model, the Tata Indica, a car designed for the Indian market, and sell it in Europe as a Rover. The result was catastrophic. The British press, who had a soft spot for Rover, tore it apart. They said it was garbage, a car of terrible quality, poorly finished, noisy, unsafe, and terribly outdated. The CityRover became a symbol of the desperation and mismanagement that sank one of the most important brands in British automotive history. Shortly after, in 2005, MG Rover finally went bankrupt. And we end with a paradox, with a story that teaches us a lot about marketing and human psychology. In 2008, the Indian company Tata Motors presented to the world a car that was going to change the lives of millions of people, the Tata Nano. Its promise was incredible, to be the cheapest car in the world. It cost around 1 lakh rupees, which at that time was about 1,500 euros. 1,500 euros for a new car. It was a revolution. The idea was noble. The chairman of Tata, Ratan Tata, saw entire families in India traveling on a single motorcycle, in the rain, in very dangerous conditions, and he wanted to give them a safe and affordable alternative. But it didn't happen that way. The Tata Nano was a commercial failure, and the reason is fascinating. Tata advertised it so much as the cheapest car that it put a stigma on it. In a society like India, where status is so important, no one wanted to be seen driving the car of the poor. And that's the end of the journey, guys. What crazy cars! We've seen everything. Visionaries like the Aztek or the Avantime who were ahead of their time, style exercises like the Thesis or the C6, which were too special for a boring market. Each of these cars is a lesson about the industry, about risk, innovation, and sometimes about how even the biggest brands mess up. They are the losers of history, the ones who were left behind, but their stories are, in many cases, more interesting than those of the winners. Some of these models are now cult classics, sought after by collectors who see in them that spark of madness and originality that is so lacking today. They are the rebels, the oddballs, the ones who dared to be different, and for that alone, they deserve our respect. But now it's your turn. Which of these cars surprised you the most? Would you buy any of them today? Tell us everything. Leave your opinion in the comments. I read them all. And if you like this trip down automotive memory lane, smash that like button and subscribe for more incredible stories from the automotive world. See you in the next video, everyone. Big hug.